And good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Matchday Live. Lincoln City travelling to Plymouth Argyle, hoping for a third round place in the FA Cup. Of course, looking to build on that win midweek as well against Swindon Town. We'll be looking back on that victory with Gary Hutchinson very shortly as well. We're hearing from the goal-scoring hero, Lewis Montsma. And of course, we'll have the team news for you live at 2:00. Let's bring him in then. Gary Hutchinson joins me from his staying in bar. And Gary, we'll get straight to the politics. We'll get it out the way. Lincoln in Tier 3, which means we won't be seeing any fans at the LNER Stadium quite as early as we may have hoped. Your thoughts on that, first of all?
Yeah, it was devastating. I was a little bit down about it actually yesterday and the day before. I was expecting to be able to get back into grounds. Obviously, a lot of teams are. It's a shame that they can't have a blanket approach. But that's the case, so we have to live with it. I would hope the noises that we're hearing is that there is potential for tier 3s to become tier 2s. I think on the 16th of December it would be lovely to be able to get back into the ground, or for at least 2,000 to be able to get back in the ground for Boxing Day. But let's look at the positives. Half of League One are in tier 2. Half of League One can have supporters in. It's the very, very first tentative step, hopefully, towards normality.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. In terms of the FA Cup then, I mean, I guess with that in mind, with what we've just discussed, how big is today's game? Of course, Lincoln, if they get through today, they'll be in the third round. We know what going through the rounds, going through the motions in the FA Cup can do to this brilliant football club as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I think from a financial point of view, it's a very big occasion. Would love to be in the third round. Got to think about that prize money, especially in times of a particular austerity like now, where money is at a premium for the club. But then Michael's got a really tight balancing act to do because there are an awful lot of games coming up between now and the FA Cup third round, which is usually at the beginning of January. Lots of league games. Dare I say, lots of winnable league games. Straight after this, we've got Wigan on Tuesday night. They're bottom of the league. Should be, hopefully, 3 points. Rochdale are coming up. Sunderland are coming up. I think we've got Shrewsbury coming up in the league. So Michael's going to have to balance that. He would love a cup run. But looking at where we are now, looking at the games we've got coming up, we could well go into 2021, still within touching distance of automatic promotion. Now, that is a very tantalising hook for us to chase.
There certainly is. Yeah, there's plenty to be excited about, isn't it? Please do get your questions and comments in. Let us know where you're watching Matchday Live from this afternoon as well. James has done just that. He says, good afternoon, Sam and Gary. 1-0 City today and Liverpool in the third round on Monday. You heard it here first. Well, James will be taking you up on that. Should you have the correct prediction there. Gary, let's go straight to that Swindon victory then and have a look back at it. It was a fairly tight first half, wasn't it? But of course, the Imps getting the 3 points in the end.
Yeah, dare I say, it was a reflection on playing lots of games in a short space of time. I thought we were a little bit apprehensive at times in attack. I thought Swindon were better than perhaps some people were expecting. They certainly looked more organised if they didn't quite have the attacking threat. It was tight. It was a narrow game. Look, there was very little between the top 6 and the bottom 6 in this division, and I think that showed it. But it did show character and application. It did show that we stuck at our task. We kept trying the things that we know work, and in the end, we came out on the right side of the result.
Yeah, you mentioned they're sticking at the task. Is that good coaching then? Or is it a mixture of good mentality from the lads themselves, but excellent coaching? Because they never really looked like conceding, did they?
No, I think it's the perfect storm. I think it's a mixture of everything. I mean, you've got to coach players correctly. You've got to have them well drilled so that the things that they're trying, they actually do right. You've got to have the right mentality in the players as well. And let's not forget, we made 4 changes for this game. We changed both the fullbacks. Anthony Scully came in as well. So it was what we would describe probably as a much changed Lincoln City. And yet the new players, the fresh faces, showed the same application and the same characteristics as the players that they replaced. Look, it wasn't a classic. You know, let's not fool ourselves here and think that this was a 1-0 win that should have been 6 or 7. The one goal that won it, it was always going to be a penalty or always going to be a mistake. But a good side wins games that perhaps they don't quite deserve to.
I thought the midfield 3 was excellent, Gary. Just talk us through that there as we see Swindon missing a chance right at the death. They'll certainly feel that they should have scored that and taken something from the game. But in terms of that midfield 3 that played on Tuesday night, how impressed were you with it? I thought there was really good movement, really good passing through the middle. I think, me, myself, I thought that's where the game was won.
Yeah, very much so. At that moment, by the way, heart in the mouth, horror moment. I was terrified. I thought the midfield 3 played very well. I think George Grant perhaps is a little more effective out wide on the left. It's hard. I thought perhaps we missed some of his creativity, and when he shuffled out to the left, we looked a more potent attacking force. But it's a hard-working triangle in the middle of the park there. Liam Bridcutt, vastly experienced player. I thought he had a really good game. I like Conor McGrandles. He works really hard when he came on. James Jones works hard. So that midfield, actually, we've got 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 players that can play there. It was very much an attacking central midfield pairing in Grant and Jones, I think. We maybe didn't create as much with them there as I thought we would, but we controlled and dictated the pace of the game to a certain degree. At times, I felt it maybe passed our creative players by in the first half, but they were still working hard. So although they weren't able to create, they were still able to be the heartbeat of the team.
Kate Jackson says, afternoon, guys, watching whilst moving into my new flat in London. Hopefully a good performance amongst the mundanity of unpacking. Yeah, good to have you with us, Kate, and good luck with the move as well. B. Franklin, 1979, says, who'd have thought that we could go into 2021 in touch of the promotion spots? Absolutely. Exciting times to be a Lincoln fan, no doubt about that. Jacob Langham says, I'm going for a 2-1 win today for the Imps. Sam and Gary. Jacob, optimistic and positive as ever. Great to have your comments this afternoon, Jacob, as well. Gary, let's talk about Robbie Gotts then. Another impressive performance. I know he's a player that you really admire. You had a chat with him earlier this week as well. What he was like as a person to speak to?
Yeah, he's a lovely lad, really grounded, really down to earth. I mean, he's what I would class as a youngster. I think he's 21 years old. He moved into a house pretty much on his own in the area. So he's been well supported by not only the club, but also the local community, he tells me. Really down to earth. When I was talking to him, I was imagining that everything he does with a smile on his face. He's highly rated at Leeds. I think in terms of his performance the other night, it may not have stood out for some. He is playing out of position. Let's not forget that. And he did tell me in our conversation that in his first game, which was Portsmouth, he did feel that he was perhaps not quite on point. He was following his man inside and doing habits that he was used to from his previous club. I think that he played very well on Tuesday, and I know that there will be some that disagree. I think he showed some good attacking intent. I thought he got forward well. He's not what I would class as the attacking fullback in the Harry Anderson, the Max Melbourne, or going back, the Harry Toffolo kind of sense. I think he's more of the kind of steady fullback, a little bit more defensively aware. But I think he's only going to get better and better, and he certainly has the right attitude. And again, that helped contribute to the win the other night. Interesting
that you mentioned there that he's spoke about his habits and bringing some of them over from Leeds United. The way I would see that is to bring habits over from a side that's coached by Marcelo Bielsa is probably no bad thing. He'll have been in some quite incredible training sessions, I'd imagine, with Marcelo.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't talk too much about that because it's actually for the programme on Tuesday night. So if people buy the programme, they'll find out. I think it's just when a team plays a certain style and you move over to another team and certain things are different. I would imagine it's the same for any player. But as you said, I mean, Robbie's been coached at a really high level. The Leeds, I mean, it's common knowledge that the Leeds under-23s train with the first team. Murder ball is something that he touches on, which people can read about. And, a lot of the senior Leeds players talk about it as well. We did have a brief chat with Bielsa, and there's a huge amount of admiration there. This is a quality young player. We haven't seen the best of Robbie Gotts. I think he's going to be better in a midfield role. Whether he'll get that opportunity or not, I don't know. But I certainly think he's currently a key part of Michael Appleton's Matchday squad.
Yeah, sounds like there'll be plenty of interesting things to read in Gary's interview with Robbie Gotts. That'll be available in the Imps Matchday programme for the Wigan game on Tuesday night. Let's now go to a very quick ad break. We'll be back in around about 20 seconds' time. A little birdie tells me, Gary, that Burton Road Chippy have been in touch with you, offering you a free batch of chips. Is that right?
Well, they certainly said on social media. I think that there was one waiting for me, but looking at the time, I might be cold by now.
I'm absolutely fuming that I didn't get that offer. Burton Road Chippy, where are you? At Samashu _TV. I want that free chips. I'm not far from Burton Road either, so no excuses. Let's go into the Forest Green game then. Looking back at that, I mean, it was a great start for the Imps in terms of their FA Cup campaign, wasn't it? 6-2, 6 goals scored, 6 brilliant goals, really. At least 3 of them were excellent. This one from George Grant. Was it the perfect attacking display?
Certainly a very good attacking display. I thought that we attacked with verve, we attacked with pace, we attacked with purpose. I just thought we looked really good. Look, there is a little warning here though, because bear in mind Forest Green openly made lots of changes to the spine of their squad, and they looked disorganised and disorientated for large parts of that game. That's not devaluing our efforts. You beat what's put in front of you, and any professional team beating another one from one league below and scoring 6 is hugely impressive. It was great to get the FA Cup off to a memorable start as well. I did an article on FA Cup matches not so long back, and some of them just disappear into let's say mundanity, which is a great word from Kate, but we'll be remembering this one for a long while.
Yeah, is it possible to put a performance like this against a current League One side? I mean, the way I look at it at the moment, there's arguably a bigger jump between League One and League Two that there has been for quite some time. I don't know if you agree with that, but certainly a game like this would suggest that there probably is.
Yeah, I think that the circumstances of the season probably mean that there's a bigger jump as well. I mean, we've obviously easily beaten Mansfield and Bradford City in competition, both from the league below. And I think teams have got to rest players. League One teams are probably going to have a slightly better calibre of player on the bench, dare I say, than League Two. I think when we were in League Two, we probably had 14 players that were first team quality, and the rest were arguably fillers. So when you're having to turn to the fillers, probably that's where the difference is. I think it's possible for us to turn a performance in like this. You look at not so long back, probably last Saturday it was actually, I think Fleetwood beat Plymouth 5-1. And again, that was a great attacking performance. Portsmouth certainly look like they're willing to do it against teams from this division. So if you get it right, there's absolutely no reason why not.
Let's talk about Anthony Scully then. Right on cue, Gary. He scored his first goal of the game there, wasn't it? And it was, it was 2 brilliant strikes from him. How big an opportunity is today? Obviously, started the game against Swindon Town on Tuesday night. He'll be hoping for a start this afternoon as well. It could be another massive day for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he'll certainly be hoping to start again. I thought he had a solid, if unspectacular game, dare I say, the other night, but then that probably described everybody on the field. He works hard. He's very eager. He's exciting when he gets on the ball. I'd really like to see him through the centre. He started out wide a couple of games. I don't think he's a winger. When I see him out wide, I think about players of days gone by, such as Ben Tomlinson playing out wide. When you know that they can play there, but they're central players. Arguably, I think he'd play best as a 9 or a 10. He will be chomping at the bit to get started if he plays today, absolutely, because he needs to get some starts under his belt, and he needs to probably just get another goal under his belt. He scores goals, but he doesn't want to get a tag as a super sub.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, the team news live as ever at 2:00, so do stay with us for that. Let's now hear from the manager, Michael Appleton, speaking at the SOPA of Lincoln EPC earlier this week.
I can only speak on behalf of obviously myself and Lincoln. Yeah, we're making a few changes. I think there's players who deserve and need minutes, and there's a few players who it's probably a good opportunity to continue to keep up the fitness levels because they may be slightly behind some of the other lads.
How do you manage that balance, though, of not upsetting your side too much? Obviously, it worked on Tuesday with the changes that you made and getting the result, but how do you go between getting the right minutes into the players but not disrupting the flow of the squad?
Well, the thing, obviously, what we do during the week in terms of how we play, how we set up, I'm not one of those who, right, okay, these are the 11 players, these are the ones I'm going to be working with, these are the ones who are going to get the opportunity to, work on the patterns of play. They all do it, so they all know their roles and responsibilities within that. Even the players who have played in numerous positions for me, example, Robbie playing in midfield and fullback, TJ playing fullback and centre half, they'll all sort of get opportunities within the week during the training to work and be part of different roles. So it shouldn't disrupt too much. All I've got to try and do is obviously, certainly more so in the league games, try and pick a side that's capable of beating the opposition that's in front of us. listen, it's no different with it being a cup competition, but ultimately what it does do, there's sort of less pressure on the game, I suppose. There isn't 3 points up for grabs. But, and I've said it many times when we've been speaking, over the year or so I've been here, I enjoy a cup run. So, I'm going to try and pick a side that I think are capable of beating Plymouth.
And do you think the fact you talk about the players knowing their roles and responsibilities wherever they're playing on the pitch, do you think that'll be something that will become a lot easier for the players the longer they spend with you and your coaching staff?
Definitely. And that's what, that's where we're aiming for. That's where we want to get to, definitely, as a group. We want to make sure that performances are really, really consistent. I think the group keeps surprising me because, although I know that we're far better in possession, certainly, than what we've shown on Tuesday night. But having said that, the way we sort of battled, the way we were organised, again, how athletic and fit we looked, they keep surprising me from that point of view in a positive way. So there's a real sort of desire to keep the ball out the back of the goal at the minute, which is pleasing. And I think, with the ball, we've seen it many times this season. When we click and we put it right, we can put teams to the sword.
Yeah, pretty optimistic. Michael Appleton speaking to BBC Radio Lincolnshire's Rob Makepeace, and rightly so after the week that Michael's had. Gary, he mentioned changes there, didn't he? He said he's going to have to make a few. Of course, he's a man that likes the FA Cup. He enjoys the cup run, as he alluded to there as well. But that would suggest that we're going to be seeing a slightly different team sheet today than we did on Tuesday night.
It would. It also suggests that some of the players on Tuesday night who perhaps got a game that hadn't in the previous weeks may continue, because he said he needs to get some additional minutes in. When he talks about fitness and players being a little bit behind, that probably also points a bit to Theo Archibald, who's somebody that he said came here a long way behind the other lads and hasn't had as much game time. That Michael trusts his squad, and what I took from that interview was the talk about how they train in the week. There is no, this is the first 11, let's work on this. TJ plays centre back and right back, Robbie plays central midfield and right back, so that if they're called upon in certain positions, then they're able to go. The rate of matches are coming at the moment. It's thick and fast. It's almost inevitable that most games we're going to see changes. Very rarely do I think we'll see the same 11 play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. I don't think it'll happen.
Gary, let's talk about clean sheets then, because I think it's 7 now in the league. I mean, in terms of recent record, the Imps have to be up there with one of the best clean sheet records in the country. There's no doubt about that. Brilliant, particularly away from home as well. Another one on Tuesday night. What would you put that down to? Because Michael has had to chop and change that back four, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I think it's 9 in all competitions as well, which is really impressive. I think we've conceded fewer goals than anybody in League One, which again is hugely impressive when you think about who we've played and you think that we conceded 3 against Portsmouth. It's got to be down to attitude, because we play a different back four with regularity. That's not just 1 or 2 players. That's the whole back four can be very, very different. Alex Palmer's a big part of it, and it starts from there and works up. He's the foundation. He has the defence in front of him. He helps to organise. He helps to kind of tell people where they need to be. But it goes all the way up to Tom Hopper, and I've questioned at times in articles Tom as an out-and-out number 9, but the work rate that he puts in, he's often back defending. So it's an all for one for all mentality. We don't shout about it as much as perhaps in previous regimes where that's been the team's mantra. It's just evident. It's just what they do. And I think when everybody to a man is working 100% every single week and knows their role, we don't look like conceding a lot of goals.
One of the big talking points for us before every game, Gary, in terms of the team news, is the fullback positions. Do you expect it to change today? And if so, who do you expect to play there? Because it has been one of those talking points throughout the season for Lincoln fans as well. Who plays at left back, who plays at right back. So, I mean, is that going to be one of the key stories from this afternoon's team news?
Yeah, it could be. Again, it's almost, I've said it before, one change anywhere on the field can affect the entire team. So let's say Michael wanted to change the central midfield area. He could take either Gotts or Theo Eden and put those into central midfield, and then you have to change the fullbacks. Let's say he wants to shake up at centre-back and he wants to tuck TJ in there. So then TJ won't be playing right-back, so then maybe Robbie Gotts. Harry Anderson can play right-back. So from a pundit point of view, it's really hard to call. I do expect a change. It surprised me to see Max Melbourne on the bench. I think Teo arguably looks better in midfield. I think his style of play may be suited to midfield a little more. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Max Melbourne play. At right back, I don't know. I mean, if Plymouth play a 3-5-2, we could see Harry Anderson. It may be that we want Harry Anderson in a more attacking position. So it's nice to have all of these options. The one area we really don't have as many options is through the attacking middle. So Tom Hopper probably expected to play. So it'll be interesting. I'm just interested to see the team.
Yeah, I think, aren't we all? 7 minutes time, 6-7 minutes time until the team usually do stay with us. For that, we'll have it here live for you right on Matchday Live. Right now, let's hear from Tuesday night's goal-scoring hero, Lewis Montsma. It's 7 goals for him now for Lincoln City so far this season. This is what he had to say, speaking yesterday.
The FA Cup this weekend then for Lincoln. Are you aware of the history of this competition over here?
Yeah. I've heard about it before and seen it on TV in Holland also. So I only looked at the bigger clubs, to be fair, but it's a very big league. Yeah.
I mean, Lincoln have had some great runs in recent years. We reached the quarterfinals a few years ago. I guess as a player, when you've got the likes of Manchester United and Liverpool and company heading into the next round, it's key to get a result this weekend. Yeah,
of course. It was the same with the Carabao Cup when we played against Bradford, I think. So it's a lot on stake to say, but just see through this game and then we'll look forward.
Yeah, you had that recent injury. You've recovered all right and feeling good and back to strength and back fit.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. It was a groin injury, but it's all gone now, so I'm feeling good. The previous 2 years I only scored once. But in the youth at my other club, Heerenveen, I've scored a few goals. I think maybe 12 goals. Yeah.
Alex Palmer was talking after the game saying you used to be on free kicks. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm still practicing them, but I just have to find the right moment to take them.
And what are you a David Beckham-esque to curl it in, or are you more of a David Luiz who takes it from centre half and just strikes it as hard as they can?
Yeah, more David Luiz. I can curl them also, but more David Luiz, yeah.
You've obviously adapted to life in League One and England very well. Has it surprised you just how well you've been able to get used to English football?
Yeah, possibly. I was aware of the level, how quick it goes compared to the second division in Holland. But I think I knew it suited me. It suited me well, like the big guys, like it's more strength and like you say more strength and like running and stuff. But I think the other part of my play is the technical part. So I think it fits well in this league.
So we know he's good at tackling. We know he can dribble. We know he can play a long pass as well. We know he can score. And all of a sudden we're finding out he's a long-range free kick specialist as well. Gary, is there anything that this man can't do?
We haven't seen it yet, have we? Massive asset to the team. I thought he was excellent on Tuesday night. I thought he had a shaky start on Saturday when he first came back and recovered. But he's such an asset already. Really surprised me how quickly he's settled. When you listen to him talk, he's so grounded, down to earth. He's on a career trajectory that I think will take him right to the very top.
Yeah, it was a really interesting interview, wasn't it? And it was particularly interesting to hear him flag up the fact that he only scored once in the last 2 years, or certainly once for a particular club. Quite incredible, really, to think that all of a sudden he's now one of the top scorers in League One.
It is. I wonder if it points a little bit to what we were talking about earlier, though, about good coaching as well. Because, if he's got that ability, and if you see it on the training ground that he can arrive late in the box, because a lot of his goals have come at the back stick from a set piece, a flick on, something like that, you play to that strength. He's had that strength at his last club, and they clearly didn't exploit it. It isn't like he's talking about getting into those positions and missing the chances. And we see the quality that he's got. So I think it reflects as well on Michael as it does on Lewis.
I have to say, Gary, that I mean, I've been lucky enough, as you know, to watch quite a few home games at the LNER Stadium so far this season. I've been quite close to one of the goals as well, certainly one of the goal lines. And looking at Lewis's movement, this is not by luck the way that he's getting into these positions. He hangs on the edge of the box. He sometimes pulls wide. It's really intelligent, almost number 9 movement as well. It's really interesting to watch. I can't wait for fans to be able to return to the LNER and be able to catch that, because I guess you don't always get the opportunity to see something like that on iFollow. But certainly, I mean, I was having a chat with Clive Nates a few weeks ago about Lewis, and the level of research that went into to purchasing him, obviously from Holland, that Jez George and his team put into it. Again, I mentioned before, it's not by luck that Lewis is scoring as many goals as he is. It wasn't by luck that Lincoln signed a player like this. And, we have to doff our cap, don't we, to the scouting team for doing this, because they were sure that he was going to be a good player. And that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, 100%. No, with the summer recruitment, there's usually always hits and misses. And I think that's always been the case. You think back to every summer and you think that player did well, but that one didn't do so well. At the moment, with the players that we've signed this summer, in actual fact, it's been almost flawless recruitment, almost. And I think that's testament to the work that went in through March, through April, through May as well. And there was some up in arms. I was one of them when we saw the retained list. A couple of the old favourites weren't retained. But it just goes to show that, there was a real big picture there. And the work that had been put in has helped us attract a calibre of player that, I don't think one or two of them we've seen the like of at Lincoln before, and Lewis is certainly one of them. Technology helps as well. There's things like Y Scout now, and match videos are really readily available. You don't have to send a VHS tape out of yourself anymore. But it does just go to show that there will be no stone unturned as we look to take this football club forward by whatever means possible.
Almost at 2:00, which means we're almost going to be bringing you the live team news. But let's go to a very quick break. We'll be back in around about 20 seconds, and then we'll have the team. And bang on time, it is 2:00, so it's time for today's Matchday Live team news. Yeah, here's Michael Appleton's side to face Plymouth Argyle this afternoon. Alex Palmer in goal. It is then Robbie Gotts, Joe Walsh, TJ Ioma, Max Melbourne, Harry Anderson, Conor McGrandles, Teo Eden, Brennan Johnson, Anthony Scully, and Theo Archibald. It is then Sam Long, Lewis Montsma, Adam Jackson, James Jones, Tom Hopper, George Grant, and Sean Rowan. Palmer, Gotts, Walsh, Ioma, Melbourne, Anderson, McGrandles, Eden, Johnson, Scully, and Archibald. Montsma, Jackson, Jones, Hopper, Grant, Rowan, and Sam Long, the backup goalkeeper as well for Michael Appleton's side. Gary, we discussed it before the show, didn't we? That we weren't too sure if Michael Appleton was going to make some changes today. It's exactly what he's done. Talk us through the formation first of all. What do you make of that?
Well, when you look at Harry Anderson, Brennan Johnson, Anthony Scully, and Theo Archibald on, for me, that's a change of formation. That's going to the 4-4-1-1. So I would imagine Gotts right back, Walsh, Ioma at centre backs with Melbourne at left back, Anderson on one flank, Archibald on the other, McGrandles and Eden in the middle, and then Johnson and Scully as a 9 and 10. Potentially, I would imagine Scully as the 9 and Brennan Johnson as a 10. It will actually give us more presence in the box, because if we attack right, that will give us 2 players to aim for. It'll very quickly turn into a 4-4-2.
We spent so long talking about Lewis Montsma, and he doesn't make today's starting 11. Joe Walsh comes in for him. Talk us through your thoughts on that change, Gary.
Yeah, it's a big shout. Again, I think that's probably done with the Saturday, Tuesday in mind. We get Joe back in and playing some games now. I know he's not been back too long, but Joe was excellent in his short career before he got injured. Fully able deputy, and I use the word deputy very loosely there because, when he's on full form, he's going to be knocking on the door to try and dislodge either Lewis or Adam Jackson at centre-back. So, when you can bring a player of his quality on, and we've already seen what he can do, I think that's impressive.
Let's go through some of the other ones then. TJ's at centre-back. I don't think we've mentioned him just yet. He played centre-back, didn't he, against Mansfield? Certainly a very versatile player. I think he's played centre-back a couple of times, maybe once in the league, just after then as well. What are you expecting for him today, up alongside Joe Walsh as well?
I think we know what we're going to get from TJ. You know, he's a big physical specimen. He's strong. He's good in the air. He's good on the ball. And he'll look to deliver those crossfield balls that Lewis delivers because, you know, we have one team method and where the players play is irrelevant. The centre-back will still be trying to put that ball in. I really like TJ. I've shouted about him for quite a while. Very surprised that he's not a right back. But again, when you've got so many games coming in such a short space of time, I think there's big decisions for Michael to make. We know that the boy can play there comfortably, so I've not got too many worries.
Gaz Staten says, good to see Harry starting. James Otter says Anderson at right back and Gotts in midfield, I reckon. So, yeah, do give us your thoughts and comments on today's starting 11, because it sounds like Michael Appleton is playing a slightly different formation, which I'm going to ask Gary about very shortly in terms of the front three or the front two, if you like, as well. But want to hear your thoughts on this afternoon. You've got around about 27 minutes or so to get your comments, questions in for Gary as well regarding today's team. Do that if you can. Tash says, really exciting to see Archibald, Scully and Johnson starting today as well. Good to hear from you, Tash. Gary, let's talk about that front starting 11 for Michael Appleton's side then. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the interpretation of the number 10 role here is going to be quite interesting to see on iFollow, which way they go up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've had this hinted at from Michael before, because he said Jack Payne plays 10, but he doesn't play the 10 role the way that Michael's tactics demand the 10 role to be played, in that, you know, Jack liked to play with the game ahead of him. Michael wants a 10 that can fluidly move into the 9, that can overlap, that can get in and around. And he also said he would only sign a 10 if the right one came available, and the right one was Brennan Johnson. And we've seen Brennan's game. It's all about getting on the ball, pushing forward, running, teasing defenders. So I can see him playing 10 today. What an opportunity for Anthony Scully, because this is the role that I believe, feels that he is most suited to. It's the one he scored an awful lot of goals for West Ham for as well. So I think this is an attacking duo, the like of which we haven't seen this season. We haven't set up like this season. We've played with the lone striker, expected lots of hard work from him. It looks to me like we're actually going for broke a little bit. I think Michael has said, you know what? Let's just go, not gung-ho, but let's shake it up a bit, get some bodies in the box, create more than we did on Tuesday night. And if we go out, we've gone and given it a good go.
Versatility is a term we've used so much this season on Matchday Live, isn't it, Gary? And I mean, did we expect to see yet another formation here? Because we have seen so many so far this season. Yet again, it says a lot, and it's easy for me to say this, sort of towing the party line, if you like. But I have to say it really, you know, we have to doff our cap to the sort of scouting setup and the coaching team for being able to sort of provide us with so many different formations in this particular side, I guess.
Yeah, I think what people probably need to understand as well is that, you know, 40% reduction in the wage bill. So Michael had to go out and he had to get players that could play in a number of positions because he had to have a relatively small squad. And so with that respect, it's working very well. You know, the scouting has kind of fit the remit. Go out and get me players that play in 2 or 3 positions, and that's what they've done. It is exciting. You know, there's only probably one player in there maybe that you would look at, Archibald, and say, you know, he starts wide left. Other than that, Scully and Johnson interchangeable. McGrandles and Eden, it depends whether they play side by side or up ahead of each other or not. Across the back, there could be any combination as well. So, you know, the scouting fit the remit. We knew what we had to do as a team. We went out and we spent our money as wisely as possible. I'd certainly like Michael and Jess George to do my Christmas shopping for me. Let's say that much.
Wouldn't we all, Gary? Wouldn't we all? Right, let's go back to that starting 11 then. I'll take you through Michael Appleton's team that he's picked to face Plymouth Argyle. It is Alex Palmer in goal, Robbie Gotts, Joe Walsh, TJ Ioma, Max Melbourne, Harry Anderson, Conor McGrandles, Teo Eden, Brennan Johnson, Anthony Scully and Theo Archibald. It is then Sam Long. Lewis Montsma drops to the bench, having scored the winner on Tuesday night. Adam Jackson joins him alongside James Jones, Tom Hopper, George Grant and Sean Rowan. That is Michael Appleton's starting 11 for Lincoln City this afternoon. I've got the Plymouth Argyle team for you as well. I'll bring that to you now. It is Cooper, Watts, Wotton, Canavan, Nubley, Edwards, Reeves, Grant, Forner, Jeffcutt and Cooper. That is Plymouth Argyle's starting 11 to face Lincoln City this afternoon. So they're the team news. One man not involved today is the captain, Liam Bridcutt. I'm delighted to say, though, that we can cross live to Home Park to catch up with Liam now. Liam, good to see you. First of all, not involved today. Big question, is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine. Me and the manager had a discussion yesterday last night, and he just said that he just needs to mix things up and fresh legs in the side, and just make sure we're all ready, really. And a key part of my me being here in terms of a player is my leadership skills in terms of getting around the lads even when I'm not playing and helping them out as much as I can.
Heard Michael talking earlier this week. He said that it was his choice what film was going to be played on the coach journey down. How was that coach journey? And the big one is, did he pick the film?
We haven't had the film yet. I think we're going to save that for the way back. But I didn't think anyone was going to argue with him when he said it's his choice. But yeah, the coach journey down was good. A little bit of a quiz, a bit of a laugh with the lads, and yeah, it was good to spend a bit of time with the lads, really.
I imagine the mood in camp is pretty good as well after that big win on Tuesday night. An excellent performance from yourself as well. Talk us through it if you could.
Yeah, it was like you said, a good performance in terms of the togetherness as a group. We knew as the game got on, we was definitely going to win the game, and that's the confidence that we got into the game. That we had that confidence that we're going to win every game, and that's the ambition that we got. We probably wasn't as good as what we would have liked to have been with the ball, but defensively and as a group, we come through it. And like I said, it was a massive 3 points, and we look forward to another one, really.
Overall, Liam, you must be absolutely delighted with the start to the season that your side has made. Just talk us through, your overall feelings. Have you been pleasantly surprised with what you've seen so far?
Yeah, definitely. I think a new group of players come together as quick as we did, to gel and to do as well as we have. No one would have said we would have done as well as we have in terms of finances. And you look at the finances throughout the league, we'll probably be in the bottom half of that in terms of finances. But we've shown that as a group we're determined, and we've got ambition to finish as high as we can. And that's all credit to like the management staff and the recruitment in terms of the players they brought in. Yeah, but for now we've done the easy bit, I think, in terms of where we've got to. I think now the habit is maintaining that and hopefully taking that to the end of the season.
Liam, we've had a comment coming from Rob Stainton. He says the great thing about this current squad is we now never have a weak-looking bench. Whichever format we adopt or formation that we adopt, we have the players to adapt to that formation. How big is that for you? You're an experienced player. You've played in some really strong squads. This one clearly is as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was having this conversation earlier on today in terms of, I know the managers mixed the side up now, but I think the players have coming in what haven't played is just as good and deserve the shirt, really, I think. And that's like I said, it's all credit to the staff in terms of the recruitment. We've got such a strong squad. I know we're small, but we have got such a strong squad. I think everyone what comes in and plays can do just as good, if not better.
Just finally, Liam, really appreciating your time. Wigan on Tuesday night, back at the LNER Stadium. Massive game. I guess my question to you is, can you put the fans' hearts at ease and just let them know that you'll probably be back involved in some way, shape or form for that game?
Yeah, definitely. That's down to the manager in terms of picking the team. But yeah, I'm hopefully we'll be ready for Tuesday and ready to go.
Good man. Really looking forward to it, Liam.
Thanks
Do enjoy the game as well.
Thanks
very much for your time.
Cheers. Thank you.
That's Liam Bridcutt, the captain, speaking to us. They're not involved today, but as he says, they're hoping to be involved against Wigan Athletic at the LNER Stadium on Tuesday night, back in league action, of course. And Gary, I'll come to you off the back of Liam. I mean, he just speaks so well, doesn't he? Experienced player, as we alluded to there, 31 now, doing excellent things for the club, no doubt about that. Big player in terms of the community as well. But players like that must make you pretty proud to be a Lincoln fan.
Yeah, and again, it kind of takes us back to the top of the show. What a shame that fans haven't been able to kind of go and meet him and see that firsthand. Hugely influential player. We talk about it every week. The players around raise their levels. Something that kind of, I think Robbie Gotts has mentioned, is, he's come from Leeds wanting to play in the first team. Liam Bridcutt's been there. He's been at Chelsea. He's been at Sunderland. He's been at Nottingham Forest. I mean, he's played with some phenomenal players. We talked about it last week that he was captained by John Terry. So, he understands the game, but he understands his responsibilities within it as well. And he hasn't played as much football as he might have liked over the last couple of years. And I think that we see that when he's on the field. I think he still plays probably with the legs of somebody who's 28, a little bit younger than he is. I think, he's going to be a big player for us over the course of the next season or so.
Long journey down, as we know. We heard him talking about the choice of film there, that Michael's obviously going to be picking the one on the way back. But you get the impression, speaking to Liam there, that there was absolutely no chance that he wasn't going to be making that journey down, despite the fact that he's not involved today.
No, I mean, look, outside the manager and the assistant manager, is probably the next most important person connected to the playing staff. So I don't think there would ever be a chance that he would sit at home when the team went away. I think it would show the wrong type of leadership if he took the opportunity to say, I'm not going to turn up to an EFL trophy game because I'm not picked. I think he will always be there. He's throwing himself completely into this role, not just what he does on the field, but what he does off the field. And again, it kind of alludes to something in the Robbie Gotts interview you can find out about on Tuesday. But, Liam Bridcutt is not just a central midfielder in this club. He is far, far more than that.
And well plugged for your interview with Robbie Gotts on Tuesday as well. Do keep your eye out for that one in the Wigan Athletic Matchday programme. Right. As we know, it's the second time that the Imps are facing Plymouth Argyle so far this season. Here's what happened at the LNER Stadium when the two sides met back in October. Yeah, Morning Rain by The Rills, your music track of choice there. And Gary, you get the impression that was almost the coming of Brennan Johnson, his first goal in a Lincoln City shirt. Quite the performance, won the penalty, of course. We'll come on to that very shortly. But it was just one of those games for a young player, which it's almost like an arrival, isn't it? I'm here now. We saw that in the celebration, the knee slide towards the co-op stand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'd been away on international duty just before. I might be wrong there. And he kind of came back and really announced his arrival on the LNER Stadium scene. He was unplayable that evening. I know we'll talk about the penalty in a moment, but just before that penalty, I think he'd been fouled in the area and hadn't had anything given. And we saw what he can do. He runs at players, he teases players. There was a lot of similarities between the early chance in the first half that was saved and his goal against Forest Green in the FA Cup, in that he kind of drops his shoulder, beats the last defender, and then looks to go back across the goalkeeper. So maybe that's something that we should look out for again this afternoon.
Yeah, really good comment actually from Richard Cross, who says Johnson has probably played more football than most this season with international games and everything else. I mean, there's a couple of things we can sort of dissect from that comment, can't we? I mean, the first one, I guess, is how brilliant is that for his personal improvement, being such a young player, playing at a pretty good level already, but doing very well indeed. And the international aspect, he's going to go quite far, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I don't think he's got a lot of senior experience. He's played a couple of games for Wales, but I think he's kind of been in and around the squad rather than the first 11. I know he has appeared for them. But that in itself is huge. And you only need to look at Joe Morrell last year. You know, he came to us as a Wales under-21 international, but being involved in the senior side at Wales, getting football, then coming back to Sincilbank, LNER Stadium, and then getting more game time as well was massive for his development. And we'll see exactly the same thing with Brennan. Unfortunately, we're here in the room. There are people discussing about whether he will or won't go back. Look, we know that at the moment we've got him for the next month. My gut feeling is that we'll have him until the end of the season, and I think that we'll see him continue to develop as a player. Next season, there is no chance that boy will be playing in League One.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully the Imps won't be either, the way they're going at the moment as well. Right, well, as you probably know by now, Ryan Lowe is the manager of Plymouth Argyle. His side beat Charlton in the first round of the FA Cup, and speaking to the local media, he admits that he's got pretty fond feelings for the FA Cup.
100% me, yeah, 100%. I love this competition. As a manager, I haven't been past the first round, but in the second round now, I want to get to the third round, but make no bones about it. We've got a tough team in Lincoln who's standing in front of us, but what we've got to do is we've got to give it our best shot, because it'd be a great opportunity, especially if you was to get through to the third round and then the fans are available to come in. It'd be a massive boost for the football club.
You obviously played Lincoln earlier in the season. Preparation wasn't ideal for us, and obviously we had a difficult penalty decision as well, which we won't probably labour now. But can you read anything into that game, or will this be a completely different challenge?
Well, it'll be the same challenge, I think, because they've got a good footballing team and a good manager, and they're going about the business the right way. Everyone in the team are beatable in the league, are beatable, as we've seen. Teams can beat each other. So yeah, it's a challenge. Which every game's a challenge, but we feel that we were hard done by, especially on 50 minutes with a penalty where the lads dived. And I will talk about it because it still to this day hurts, and we were well in the game. But ultimately, we've got to get rid of that. We've got to eradicate that, and we've got to look to bounce back against a good team. The rewards is a potential third round cup game against one of the big hitters.
And in terms of availability and the players on Saturday, are we looking good in that respect?
All good, yeah, all good now. Comes back from a suspension. Obviously, he missed one game, which was Tuesday night, so good, clean bill of health, and all happy.
Yeah, Ryan Lowe speaking to the local Plymouth Argyle media there. And Gary, it sounds like he wants to put right a few wrongs from that game back in October. It sounds like it still hurts as well. How wary should Michael Appleton and the Lincoln City squad be that they are facing a team here that really are sort of wanting to, as I said, put right a few wrongs and get some revenge?
Dare I say, perceived wrongs. The way he talks about the penalty, he said it's an outright dive. That's subjective. He doesn't talk about the foul beforehand. I've got a lot of respect for Ryan Lowe. He does play. These teams play football the right way. They will be hurting. They will want revenge. I've been heartened looking through the Plymouth team to see there's no Danny Mayer, though, this afternoon. I thought he was their real danger man. So there's obviously somebody stepping up into their team who's got a point to prove as well. Look, it's going to be a really tough game. Whenever you travel all that way down to home park, it always takes something out of the players. They are an organised team. They've had a bad couple of results. They were narrowly beaten by Peterborough midweek, but they were hammered by Fleetwood 5-1 on Saturday. I think they're without a win now in 3. So, there's all manner of reasons why we should be wary. They want to get back on track. They want to get in the third round. They think they have a score to settle against us. They really don't. Take the penalty out of it. We still won the game 1-0. You get injustice throughout the season. We've had it, but when we go and play Accrington, for whom we should have had a penalty against, I'm sure that our manager won't be talking about it. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens this afternoon, won't it? So that's the thoughts of Plymouth Argyle manager Ryan Lowe just before there, around about 2 minutes ago or so. Let's now hear from a man called Archie, who runs Argyle Army. I caught up with him before today's Matchday Live show to help me preview the game from a Plymouth perspective. This is what he had to say. To see you. Let's go back to that game back in October then. 2-0 for the Imps at the LNER Stadium. What did you make of it from a Plymouth perspective?
Completely deserved 3 points for Lincoln. We got outplayed completely. It was some Barcelona-like football at times. We just didn't really show up in the game. Alex Palmer was superb as well for you guys. Obviously was superb for us the season before, and did deserve 3 points in the end, I believe.
But you did have a tough time injury-wise, didn't you? A couple of players coming into contact with people with COVID-19 meant that some of your key defenders missed out on the game as well. So with that in mind, how fired up will you be this afternoon?
This afternoon, we've got a full fit squad, I believe. I think there's only 1 or 2 players out, but they're not vital first team sort of players. So Conor Grant's back, obviously got his FA Cup shirt to the left of me, and a few other players that will definitely be key to today's game, and hopefully get us a win.
Talk to us about one of those players, and Danny Mayer. He is quite the acquisition for you. Just give us an idea of how big a player he is for your side.
He's superb. He's the heart of the team, heart of the midfield, creates the chances, takes chances himself. He does like to step it through to Jeff Cotton behind to get the one-on-one finish against the keeper. So hopefully it'll be beneficial for us today. But as I said, Danny Mayer is really a playmaker, and he's been superb for us this season. Superb.
This interview will be played out after the team news comes out, but from your perspective, what sort of team are you expecting this afternoon? Quite an attacking one. I do recall that it was quite an attacking side that played at the LNER Stadium as well.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be more attacking because I believe in the last 2 games you may have seen the absolute shock results we've been through. Obviously the Fleetwood game and also the Peterborough game on Tuesday night. It wasn't very good for us, but so I believe we will probably lay out more attacking in that game. We certainly went for a defensive mindset into both of those games, playing the 5 at the back formation, which we will probably stick with today, but more sort of attacking right wing back and left wing back. Maybe put more on the right wing back instead of Edwards, because Edwards is more set defensively. But yeah, we certainly. I said Conor Grant's back, so hopefully he can provide us a bit of a long shot magic and try and bang in another one like he did against Wimbledon at QPR.
You mentioned those 2 consecutive defeats. What happened? I mean, 5-1, a big result, quite a shocking result. What did go on in those games? And I presume you're not expecting something similar today, because the natural response is to have a bit of a fight back, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, see, it's with the Fleetwood game, we got it wrong from the offset. I said to some of the guys I was speaking to, the formation and the sort of players we had in the formation as well was completely wrong. We went 2, as I mentioned earlier, we went 2 defensively in that game, and I think we from our mindset from the get-go, it wasn't there. Obviously, 10 minutes in, we subbed off our main midfielder, Panuccia Kamara, after he probably gave away both of the goals. And from then onwards, we sort of knew it was going to be a bit of a bad day for us. Didn't realise it was going to get that bad with 5-1. But obviously, Jeff got getting the goal in the last minute didn't really help. But with the Peterborough game as well, we definitely came back a lot better. I'd say. I mean, we still didn't deserve to win by a long shot, but maybe a point would have been nice. But with the Peterborough game, they were superb as well. Obviously, they've got their main man up front who was strengthening off all our defenders left, right, and centre. So I think both of those games probably didn't deserve to get many points from them. But yeah. Just
finally then, Archie, how do you see this afternoon going for you?
Well, obviously, you guys got to take a bit of a long trip down, I should say, to Plymouth, which is, I think, 3 or 4 hours, but maybe more than that, in fact. So I'm hoping for a win, and hopefully that benefits us, because obviously our home form, I don't know if you know, it's been superb in the league. Obviously, Cup-wise, not too good, but the league, we've been unbeaten since January the 1st, which was the Swindon game back last season. So I think it'll be a tough game for you, tough game for us as well, as I said. So I'm hoping for a 2-1 win to us, but as I said, who knows? You guys could end up taking it. But I think if it is, as I said, I think it'll be 1 goal difference if it is either side that come out on top.
Archie, appreciate your time. Do enjoy the game.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, myself speaking to Archie from Argyle Army around about a couple of hours ago. The power of technology, that wasn't just then. So just in case you were slightly confused with that. Gary, let's bring the team news graphic back then from an Imps perspective. And for those people that are just joining us now, talk us through what you see as some of the big talking points from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's going to be a change of formation, almost certainly going to a 4-4-1-1. Robbie Gotts keeps his place at right back. TJ Ioma will play centre back with Joe Walsh, so no Lewis Montsma. We'll have a midfield 2. We haven't touched on that as yet, in Teo Eden and Conor McGrandles, which is going to be really interesting, especially if Plymouth do play their expected 3-5-2. There's going to be a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. Now, McGrandles is a hard worker, so hopefully we can win that battle, but we're going very attacking. I think Anderson one flank, Archibald the other, Johnson and Scully through the middle. As I said earlier, I think it's go for broke. I think we're going to go and throw the kitchen sink at Plymouth, hopefully.
Yeah, how big will it be having Conor McGrandles back in the side as well? I know he's a player you really rate, and he's really making that central midfield position his own, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's one that's kind of he flits in and out. When he comes in, you know what you're going to get. I mean, I see him very much as a kind of a busy player rather than an attacking midfielder. But when you're playing a 4-4-1-1, you need two players that are comfortable both sitting deep and going box to box, which I think he is. He covers an awful lot of ground. I watched him lose a ball in a recent game in the attacking 18-yard area, and he was the player back blocking in the defensive 18-yard area after a couple of long passes. So he'll run all day long. I think he's missing Bridcutt, Jones, and Grant from the midfield. It takes the heart out of the team from Tuesday, but it's a huge chance for those players. Teo Eden as well. Eden has had an inconsistent season. Let's be honest. He's had some good games. He's had some not so good games. He's now playing in what I think is his best position. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, on him to perform tonight.
Absolutely. Gary, we've just about run out of time there. Really appreciate your time as ever. Do enjoy the game. That is it from myself and Gary Hutchinson. Plenty more from Gary at www.stacywest.net. Of course, you can get your pre-match pass by going to weareimps.com/iFollow. All the build-up will start from just around about 1:30. For now, we'll leave you with some brilliant FA Cup memories from that season, that magical season back in 2016-17. Bye for now. We'll see you on Tuesday night.
This is the chance. It's Arnold! FA Cup history rewritten by Lincoln City. Power. Reed. In goes Robinson! The Lincolnshire poacher! It's come to Hawkridge, and Hawkridge is through. It's 2-0 Lincoln! By Arnold over the top for Theo Robinson. 3-0 Lincoln. Catch them if you can. They saw it through. This Lincoln loco is not for stopping.
Proper FA Cup night in the east of England, deep in Lincolnshire.
With the underdogs at home having got a fantastic result in the first game, and now everybody's anticipating what could be a big shock.
4 minutes, we're told, will be added on. It's next goal wins time. First goal wins.
Any goal wins.
Lincoln on the break. Marriott has support. He's played it through. This is the chance. It's Arnold! Lincoln at the very end. Surely have put themselves a place in round 4. Brighton picked from right to left in this first half at Sincilbank in the more luminous of the two kits. Lincoln in their traditional red and white. Huge moment for Power, who turned 29 earlier this week. Late birthday present for him as he drives Lincoln back into the game.
So certainly it's all Lincoln at the moment.
Feels like he needs to change something. Here goes Arnold. Good ball in from Arnold, and Tamori on his first professional start scores an own goal that puts Lincoln City in front.
16 left in it, 8 from the Premier League, 4 from the Championship, Millwall and Oxford from League One, and uniquely 2 from below stairs. Reed, his natural target. 90 seconds on the clock. Havigan. Back across the face of goal. It's chaos! Is it in? Is it in? Goal given! Sean Raggett for Lincoln City! The Lincolnshire poacher! Extreme! Imperious Imps! They've gone and done it right at the end of Tufmore! 5 millimetres! 3,500 could have been 7,000. Sounded like 70,000.
So away we go. What an occasion. The invasion of North London. Flicks Woodyard via a deflection. Here's Arnold again. Muldoon in the centre. It's still Arnold. And Petacek makes the save. And what a good effort by Nathan Arnold. Oh, terrific skill. And it must be 5, surely. It certainly is. Ramsey's got his goal. Support from the Lincoln supporters has been nothing short of magnificent. But the cup run of the Imps has come to an end here at the Emirates.